My parents laughed when I asked about my share, so I quietly bought their business and let them go. Elena sat at the dinner table, heart racing, surrounded by laughter and clinking glasses. The city skyline shimmered through the floor-to-ceiling windows, a stunning backdrop to a life she felt increasingly detached from. Her parents, the parents everyone else admired, were discussing their latest business triumphs. Fireworks of joy erupted between them, while she remained a ghost in their midst. Every smile they shared felt like a dagger twisting deeper in her chest. "Do you think we'll hit 1 billion this quarter?" Her father chuckled, a proud glint in his eye. Her mother nodded enthusiastically, laughter erupting like champagne bubbles. It was dizzying and overwhelming. All she felt was the weight of her own silence, the cold emptiness that settled into her bones. After a long pause, Elena finally found her voice. "Can we talk about my share?" The words hung in the air. For a fleeting moment, a tense hush enveloped the room. Then it shattered as her parents erupted into fits of laughter. "Your share! Oh, sweetheart, you're so cute." Her mother's laughter felt like nails scraping against a chalkboard, while her father's voice boomed through the room, dismissively. "What would you do with a share? You're not even involved." Those words pierced her deeply, igniting a firestorm of anger and hurt. She felt small, invisible in the face of their success. But in that moment, something shifted inside her. The shame morphed into determination. That night, with the city lights twinkling like stars outside, she made a plan. Quietly, before the sun rose each day, she started purchasing small stakes in their company. Piece by piece, she claimed what she believed was hers, even as the emotional turmoil twisted her stomach into knots. Each transaction was a rebellion against years of feeling overlooked. As the days turned into weeks, Elena waded deeper into the high-stakes world of corporate strategy. Her phone buzzed relentlessly with updates. Her heart raced as competitors circled like sharks. She was navigating treacherous waters, all without her family's knowledge. But through that secrecy lingered whispers of something darker. Rumors began to swirl around their renowned business. Talk of mismanagement, shady deals, whispers of betrayal. It felt like a storm was brewing, carrying shadows lurking just beyond the light of her parents' success. And then, one night, she received an anonymous message. "The truth about your family's business isn't what you think. Dig deeper." It sent chills coursing through her. Was there a scandal beneath the glossy facade? Caught between loyalty and ambition, Elena was now at a crossroads. Should she expose the very foundation that had cast her aside? Or could she reshape? With her heart pounding, she closed her eyes, trying to silence the chaos within. Could she trust anyone? The city buzzed outside, vibrant and alive, yet she felt trapped in a web of secrets, grappling with what to do next. Hey, before we continue with this incredible story, I need to give you an important warning. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube removed their subscriptions without warning. Just take a quick look at the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I don't want you to miss any exclusive content that's coming. And since you're there, leave that powerful like that helps me a lot with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know each incredible person who is part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's interact. Elena stood at the window, heart pounding. The city laid out before her, bright lights flickering like stars. But there was. The message flashed in her mind. Dig deeper. Could she really trust the words of an unknown source? She paced back and forth, every step a mix of fear and fire. What was she even hoping to find? The truth twisted around her like smoke in the air. She had spent weeks playing the game, collecting shares, and learning the business from the shadows. But was every second she invested worth it if the foundation was built on lies? With a deep breath, she grabbed her laptop. The cold metal sending a shiver up her spine. She started typing, digging into every article, financial report, and whisper of news. Each click felt heavier than the last, realities shifting like sand beneath her feet as she searched for anything that could validate her gut feeling. The world outside faded. Time slipped away, blurring into hours. The glow of the screen was the only light in the dark room. And then she found it, a thread leading to a lawsuit. But the details were vague. She widened the search. Thomas Calder. The name was linked to accusations of money laundering and fraud. Her heart raced as she read. "No way," she whispered, the words almost choking her. Thomas was a trusted advisor to her parents, and now he was caught in a storm of scandal. Before she could process her next move, the phone buzzed violently on the table, tearing her attention away. It was a call from her mother. Elena hesitated, a lump in her throat. Should she answer? Was this risk worth it? She took a breath and hit accept. "Hey, honey," her mother chirped, oblivious to the chaos whirling around them. "I think we should have a family meeting tomorrow. Something exciting is in the air." Elena could barely respond, her heart hammering against her ribs. "Mom, may I ask you something first?" "Of course, what is it?" "That man, Thomas, are you sure he's untrustworthy?" Silence. The laughter faded, and Elena could almost hear the ticking of a clock in the background. "Where did you hear that name?" Her mother's voice chilled, sharp like ice. "I just need to know. Don't worry about him, sweetheart. He's family." Family. The word stung. A bitter reminder of the facade her own life had become. She opened her mouth, ready to spill the truth she had uncovered. But just then, the sound of shattering glass cut through the air. It wasn't a quiet break, but a deafening crash, like thunder echoing in her ears. The window exploded outward, and she stumbled backward, heart racing. Shadows loomed outside, figures darting away into the night. "Mom, what was that?" Panic surged through her as the phone fell from her hand. "Elena, get down!" her mother screamed, panic lacing her voice. She dropped to the ground, heart racing, breath quickened. Was this a warning? A threat? Everything felt like it was unraveling. Just then, her phone buzzed again. An unknown number. Her hand shook as she picked it up. A text read, "Keep digging. You're closer than you think." And that's when it hit her. Was the threat aimed at her parents or at her? The shadows danced just beyond her sight, and the room filled with an echoing silence, leaving her trapped in a web of danger, deceit, and unprecedented twists. What was the truth, and how deep did the lies go? Elena hit the ground, fear crashing over her like a tidal wave. The sound of shattered glass echoed around her, jagged and raw. Her heart raced, adrenaline flooding her veins. She could barely think. Shadows outside loomed, and panic rooted her in place. Her mother's frantic voice rang in her ears. "Get down!" She flinched as sirens wailed far off in the distance, getting closer. The world bled into chaos. She pressed her hands over her ears, trying to drown out the cacophony. Thoughts swirled. Was this a warning? A threat aimed at her parents or her? A soft knock jolted her from her panic. It came again, more insistent. Someone was at the door. "Elena!" Her mother's voice trembled with urgency. "Are you okay?" The front door creaked open, revealing her mother's wide eyes and frantic expression. What happened? Before she could answer, another blast erupted from outside, metal screeching against metal. The light flickered as the window shattered even more. They were under attack. "Elena, we need to leave, now!" But she couldn't move. Her laptop, her research, it all felt so small compared to the mayhem surrounding them. Suddenly, her phone inched forward with another buzzing vibration. Somewhere in the chaos, the message popped up. "Keep digging. You're closer than you think." "Who keeps sending you these messages?" her mother demanded, eyes darting around. "I don't know. Someone who knows something." Her mother's expression shifted. There was something hidden there, tight and unreadable. "Elena, listen to me." She grabbed her daughter's shoulders, fingers digging in firm. "There are things you don't understand. Things I've kept hidden for a reason." Before Elena could process this, a figure burst through the door. A man drenched in shadows. "Get down!" he yelled, a frantic urgency in his voice. The room blurred as her mother instinctively shielded Elena. In that moment of chaos, something deep inside Elena stirred. Was he trying to save them, or something else entirely? A gunshot rang out, echoing in the small space. The man staggered back, blood blossoming across his shirt. Elena gasped, the world dimming for a split second. Her mother screamed, an unholy sound that cut through the panic. Time slowed, and her body moved without hesitation. She tackled the man, wrestling him to the ground, confusion swirling in her mind. "Who are you?" "Thomas! It's Thomas!" he rasped, pain evident in his tone. Elena's heart dropped. The name sent shockwaves through her. The man her parents trusted, caught in the storm she had uncovered, now wounded on the floor, with blood pooling around him. "How could you?" he whispered, disbelief twisting in her gut. From behind, her mother leaned against the wall, breathless. "I didn't know, I swear." "Didn't know what?" Elena pressed, fear and anger coursing through her. "What is happening? Who is he?" "I didn't want to involve you," her mother whispered, voice trembling. "But I had no choice. Thomas is your father." The words slammed into her chest like a freight train, shredding everything she thought she knew. This wasn't just betrayal, it was a full-blown wreckage of truth. Was this why she'd felt unseen for so long? Everything spun, emotions colliding within her, a heartbreaking mix of anger and disillusion. Just then, the air shifted. They weren't alone. Footsteps thundered from the entrance. She glimpsed 3 silhouettes standing in the doorway, eyes cold and calculating. "Elena, you need to," her mother started, but the words fell flat as the figures stepped into the flickering light. And before she could scream, before she could process the depth of the chaos, the leader raised a hand, fingerprints stained with smoke and sin, and uttered a chilling command. "Finish him." In that moment, as truth unraveled around her, Elena felt the earth tremble beneath her. The room spiraled deeper into darkness, leaving her teetering on the precipice of betrayal. Would she align with her mother, or take a stand against everything she had once called family? Elena's heart slammed in her chest. Her breath was quick and shallow, every pulse heightening the chaos around her. The figures at the doorway tightened their grip. Shadows stretched, dark and menacing, as the leader's voice cut through the air like glass shattery. Who were these people? And why did they want Thomas dead? Her mind raced, 1,000 questions sparking in the chaos, but nothing made sense. Before anyone could move, a loud bang pierced the silence. It came from outside, shaking the walls and rattling the glass still intact. It felt like reality itself was cracking. The leader exchanged quick glances with his companions, eyes filled with a determination that sent an icy chill down her spine. "Do it now," Thomas groaned, clutching his wound. Uncertainty washed over Elena, mingled with a flash of anger. Was he the monster, or was he just another victim in a game she didn't fully understand? "Stop! No!" she yelled, her voice hoarse and filled with fear. It didn't matter. The men moved in closer, but before they could act, her mother lunged toward Thomas. "No, you can't!" Time seemed to stop as her mother's body collided with the men. The scuffle felt surreal. Arms flailed and fists flew. Elena could hardly breathe, caught in a whirlwind of panic and confusion. Then another voice broke through, one unfamiliar yet commanding. "Enough!" It rang out, dripping with authority, and the noise ground to a halt. A woman stepped into view. Tall and fierce, with eyes blazing and a smirk fighting at her lips. "You really thought a little gunfire could scare us away?" Elena's confusion deepened. "Who are you?" Her voice trembled, the weight of the chaos heavy upon her. The woman laughed, sharp and cold. "I'm the one who knows the real truth about your family, dear." The words hit with a shocking force, unraveling everything. Truth? What truth? The room was wrapped in an oppressive silence, each heartbeat loud enough to drown out the chaotic outside. "Your parents," she continued, her tone now taunting, "aren't who you think they are. And your dear Thomas, he's been playing both sides." Shock crashed into Elena like a wave, drowning her in disbelief. "What? What do you mean?" The woman stepped closer, eyes gleaming with a mischievous light. "They've built their empire on lies, sweetheart. The money? Blood money. Thomas isn't just an advisor. He's the family you never knew." Elena's breath caught. The ground beneath her shifted, pulled away into nothingness. "Wait, what?" But the woman didn't stop. "Oh, it's so much more romantic than you think. Your father is knee-deep in the crime world. Your mother? She's complicit, wrapped in the love of a man who built a sham." Elena felt like she might shatter. Her mother complicit? Her world blurred, and the feeling of betrayal tightened around her throat like a noose. "Thomas," her mind stumbled, grappling with the revelations. "Is that true?" He looked up through pained eyes, a ghost of betrayal flickering in his expression. "I didn't want you in this." "Shut up!" the leader roared. But all Elena could focus on were the pieces falling into place. Her parents, the successful couple, the beautiful facade. Everything had been a lie. "Finish him." The leader barked again, voice booming, breaking her spiraling thoughts. Elena's survival instincts kicked in. "No, wait!" The woman turned, and for the first time, something akin to curiosity brightened her expression. "You think you can stop this?" With a surge of determination, Elena shot back. "I want the truth, not just for Thomas, but for all of us." The shadows shifted, uncertainty filling the air. In that moment, Elena took a step forward, her heart hammering with both fear and fury. "Tell me everything, or I'll make sure it all ends here." And then, out of nowhere, a blinding flash erupted from the doorway, illuminating the darkened room. The air tasted like gunpowder and fear as the figures jerked in surprise. Before she could process it, screams cut through the chaos as a figure rolled inside, a stranger, armored and fierce. The world flipped, and for a heartbeat, a shift in the chaos. Everything changed. "Elena!" the newcomer shouted, and just like that, the stakes catapulted into the unknown. What had she awakened? As the clamor surged back to life around them, Elena's world twisted further into darkness, leaving her teetering on the edge of a terrifying abyss. Elena's heart raced, a pulsating drum echoing in her chest. The newcomer, drenched in bravery and urgency, burst through the doorway like a comet across the sky. "Elena!" he shouted, eyes wide with purpose. She glanced back, caught in a cyclone of fear and confusion, as the shadows in the room reeled, shifting like live wires, ready to spark. The chilling command hung in the air. "Finish him." But before anyone could act, the entire scene ignited in chaos. The man crumpled to the floor, and for a fleeting moment, silence reigned, thick and suffocating. Sweat dripped into Elena's eyes, blurring her instinct screamed for her to obey. But the tangled web of loyalty and deception held her fast. And then the stranger spoke again, his voice a calm amidst the storm. "There's no time. We need to get out. Now." Elena's world turned upside down. Amidst the firestorm of confusion, something surged within her, a flicker of clarity. "You know the truth?" she shot back, feeling the weight of the crowd's collective breaths. Every eye locked on this unexpected hero. "You know what's happening?" "Yes," he replied, urgency bleeding into his tone. "But we have to go, right now." Just then, a sharp crack, followed by a "Who did that?" she cried out. Fear coiled tight around her stomach. "Enemies," the newcomer replied, urgency in his voice. "Your family is not who you think they are. The truth runs deeper than you can imagine." "What do you mean?" Elena asked, her voice tinged with disbelief. She could hardly process it all. Shadows shifted again in the doorway, and as the chaotic world outside roared to life, a new figure stepped into the light. And then, just as she was about to ask him to elaborate, a deafening explosion rocked the building. The room shook like thunder. Walls trembled, and Elena felt the ground beneath her give way. Before she could comprehend what was happening, the floor erupted into a shower of debris. She stumbled back, eyes wide, mouth agape. The ground split open beneath her, tuning the space into a chasm of chaos. Screams erupted as the ceiling cracked, revealing a darkness above them, a void that felt alive and hungry. In the midst of the cacophony, Elena caught a glimpse of the newcomer. His face transformed into a mask of horror as he lunged forward, reaching for her. "Elena, hold on to me!" But just at that moment, Thomas lifted his head weakly, face twisted with desperation. "Elena! Don't trust him!" Betrayal smacked her in the face like a slap. What? Why? The fabric of her reality split into shreds, new and devastating truths crashing against her like waves. Where was the safety she thought she had known? But then the unexpected struck again. The stranger's voice changed, gaining a familiar warmth. "It's not what you think. I'm here to protect you." "Protect me?" She felt trapped, fury bubbling within her. "You're all just words wrapped in lies." With every word, Elena felt the weight of their deceit crashing down. Everything was upside down. Her family's empire built on a foundation of treachery. A chilling realization washed over her. They were all part of the story, intricately woven into a tapestry darker than she had ever imagined. As the world fractured around her, she held on to one truth: someone would pay for this chaos. But who? And as darkness loomed, swallowing the room in a deafening roar, she understood. Truth never came without a price. Elena felt like she was living in a nightmare, the room spinning around her as chaos reigned. The explosions outside shook the very ground beneath her, and time blurred into a haze. She had so many questions. The truth twisted like a serpent in her mind. Who could she trust? Her world had flipped upside down, and the weight of betrayal pressed heavily on her chest. The newcomer's eyes were like fire. "Elena, come on!" he urged, extending a hand as the room trembled. She wanted to grab it, to escape the chaos, but she couldn't leave Thomas behind. Not yet. Even if he was trapped in this web of lies, flickering with shadows. "Why did you come here?" she cried out, her voice sharp with fear. "What do you know?" "Everything!" he shouted, locked in a battle with the noise. "But we've got to move." But before she could respond, the figures outside the door rushed in, brandishing weapons, snarling at the chaos they had unleashed. The leader sneered, adrenaline coursing through his veins. "Someone's not leaving this room alive." Her heart pounded. "You won't kill anyone," Elena shouted, stepping forward, every instinct screaming to protect the broken pieces of her family. The weight of her mother's secret, Thomas's betrayal, she felt like she was shattering. Then it happened. A deafening noise beyond anything she had felt before. The floor shuddered violently, as if the building itself was collapsing. Dust rained down, and the lights flickered ominously. Everyone staggered, eyes wide with shock. "Elena!" The newcomer grabbed her, shielding her as the wall behind them erupted in shards of concrete. The room spun out of control, chaos swallowing them whole. In a blur, something sharp flashed in the corner of her eye. A figure, cloaked and menacing, darted through the debris like a phantom. "Get back!" the leader roared, spinning toward the figure. But before he could act, the stranger flicked a wrist, and an electric surge filled the room, illuminating everyone briefly. And then, silence. The chaos faded. Everything stopped. The figure stood there, eyes glinting with a knowing look. Ellie. The voice breathed her name, icy and haunting. It sent chills down her spine. "Who was this? What do you want?" she stammered, confusion and fear knotting in her stomach. The figure pulled back their hood, revealing crystal-clear blues that pierced through the dust swirling in the air. "Surprised to see me?" Elena's heart stopped. No, it can't be. Brianna, a friend she thought she lost years ago, a shadow of her past thought buried deep. Her laughter echoed in Elena's memories, a song she hadn't heard in ages. "You have something that belongs to me," Brianna said, her voice cold, calculated, the warmth of their past friendship evaporating into the quickening air. "What are you talking about?" Panic gripped Elena's chest. "You, the company, everything." The tension crackled like electricity. "You've become a pawn in a game far beyond your understanding, Ellie." "No!" Elena stepped back, the walls closing in on her. Her entire life flashed in front of her eyes. Every betrayal, every moment she felt invisible and overlooked. "No, you can't! You left! You chose to disappear!" "Did you really think I could? I had to go." Brianna shrugged, an icy smile forming at the corners of her lips. "You're not the only one who suffered losses, Elena. You have no idea what this family has done. Stop, just stop." The newcomer glanced at Elena, a mixture of understanding and urgency on his face. But Elena's head spun with Brianna's words, a hidden history, deeper than even the lies she had unearthed. "I'll tell you everything, if you want it," Brianna said, as the shadows shifted around her, swirling into a dizzying cloud. "But first, you need to decide who you trust." Outside, sirens wailed like banshees, drowning out the pounding in her chest. But everything she thought she knew was crumbling, and in that moment of fleeting silence, the echoes of decisions unmade screamed louder than her own voice. "Who's behind all this?" she demanded. But once you step into my world, there's no going back." Elena hesitated, the weight of loyalty and betrayal swirling. Behind her, Thomas groaned, and her mother's eyes widened, filled with fear. Would trusting Brianna mean losing everything she held dear? The decision felt like a heavy stone in her chest as the world surged back to life around her. Faces of friends and foes blurred by growing chaos. In that single, wrenching moment, she realized this wasn't just about her family anymore. It was a crossroad, and whatever choice she made could change everything forever. "Choose wisely," Brianna whispered, a hint of darkness in her voice, as the room filled with echoes of her past, an invitation to step into the unknown. Elena stood frozen, torn between the past and the chaos unfolding around her. Brianna, standing like a specter from her childhood, had pulled them all into a dark game. The shadows flickered and swirled like ghosts. Each heartbeat echoed, threatening to drow. Her mother's terrified face warned her that someone might not walk away from this. The urgency in the room thickened, the air weighed down with secrets. Brianna stepped closer, a tension clinging to her every word. "You still don't see it, do you? The truth is right here in this chaos." "Tell me," Elena urged. "What do you mean? What truth?" The newcomer shifted, eyes darting between the escalating tension and the broken glass scattered on the floor. "Elena, we need to." But suddenly, the ground beneath them shook. Not just a tremor, it felt as if the world was crumbling. A loud siren blared outside, but this time, it wasn't the police. It was a sound she'd never heard before. Raw and primal, reverberating deep in her chest, freezing her where she stood. "What the hell is that?" one of the intruders yelled, panic creeping into his voice as the window rattled violently. "I don't know," Brianna hissed, her expression a mix of determination and fear. "But we need to move now!" Without warning, a blinding light flooded through the broken window, crackling like static electricity. The figures outside appeared, shadowed beings moving with urgency. They rushed in, armed and dangerous, faces hidden beneath masks. "Elena!" the newcomer shouted again, stretching out a hand. But just then, an explosive sound erupted, sending shards of glass into the air like deadly rain. Time stretched. In the haze, Elena caught a glimpse of something. Someone standing in the light, cloaked in a dark robe. The figure was taller than the others, commanding. It raised an arm, and the atmosphere thickened, weighed down by an unseen force. "Enough!" The command resonated hard against their chests. Everything stilled, as if the world had paused. The looming figure stepped into the light, revealing an unexpected face. "Dad?" Elena's voice broke, disbelief crashing over her. Her father stood there, alive, but somehow different. Gone was the veneer of charming businessman, replaced by a man who carried shadows in his eyes, a flicker of something sinister behind his casual demeanor. "Surprised, honey?" he said, a grim smile curving his lips. "Sorry to break your little party." The room erupted into chaos. Her heart raced as tension spiked. Brianna's eyes widened, horror morphing her features into disbelief. "You?" "Shut it, Brianna." He waved her off, his voice icy. "You've already said too much." "What are you doing here? You were supposed to be—" Elena choked out the words, her throat tight with confusion. All the pieces she thought she had were now scattered like leaves in a storm. He cast her a look that made her heart drop. "You were never meant to know." With those words, the room shifted. Everything Elena believed spiraled into a maelstrom. Her family, her identity, was it built on deceit? Fear flooded through her, choking any glimmer of trust she held for everyone in the room. "Finish this," the leader of the attackers growled, the tension rising back to a breaking point. But then a sharp sound sliced through the heaviness. Sirens blared from outside, urgent and relentless. Just like that, the lights flickered once more, plunging the room into a darkness so complete it felt alive, wrapping around her like a suffocating shroud. The power flickered back to life for just a second. "Elena, don't!" her father shouted. But it was already too late. A great flash erupted from the shadows. Elena instinctively shielded her eyes as the electricity crackled violently through the air. And from the center of chaos, a piercing scream rang out that made her blood freeze. The sound of betrayal mingled with pain. The figure who had extended their arm, the newcomer, collapsed as the sound echoed through the room. revealing a glint of a weapon that had discharged in an instant. Elena's breath caught. Everything she once knew turned to ashes. Trust shattered, hearts crumbled. Her father's face twisted in disbelief as he glimpsed the sniper falling to the ground, a single drop of blood painting the floor beneath them. Time slowed. She stood, processing the devastation. Choices and alliances blurred. Shadows came to life with dark intent. Elena's world tilted under the weight of betrayal, the truth swirling like storm clouds around her. And in that moment, everything came crashing down. She was lost, caught in a web of deceit, spun from those she loved most. As the room filled with chaos again, Elena realized she was the only one left to decide. In every cloud of dust that hung in the air, the weight of her choices loomed, ready to consume. Her heart raced, but now it was driven by something deeper: desperation. Who could she trust? Who would survive? With uncertainty hanging thick, she felt torn between love and loyalty, wondering if she could rise from the ashes of shattered truths, or would she go down with them? Elena stood there, lost in confusion, as the darkness loomed over the room. Her father's presence transformed everything. Was he the puppet master all along? The chaotic energy crackled, and her heart raced. In her chest, anger and dread twisted together, suffocating her. "Dad, what are you doing here?" she whispered, her voice trembling. The harsh light flickered, shadows dancing wildly across the walls. "You shouldn't have found out," he replied, a calm in his voice that felt far too chilling for the chaos breaking apart around them. "This was never meant for you." The air felt heavy, ripe with secrets, and fear clawed at her throat. "Never meant for me? I thought I was a part of this family." The moment was shattered as the intruders halted, tension electrifying the air. The masked leader raised his weapon, fury radiating from every pore. "We can finish this now or let the drama unfold. Either way, you're all expendable." Just then, the newcomer, still reeling from the surprise, darted to Elena's side, eyes wide, whispering fiercely. "We have to move! Your father is a threat!" His grip tightened around her waist, and then it hit. A loud boom reverberated through the room, shaking the very ground beneath them again. The lights flickered once more, and in that instant, everything changed. The walls shuddered, and a cacophony of sounds filled the space. Screams mingled with thunderous crashes as the floor beneath them started to give way, like the earth itself was breaking apart. "Run!" Brianna shouted, her voice rising above the chaos. "The building is going down!" Desperation surged through Elena. "What about him?" She glanced back at Thomas, crumpled and bleeding. But the urgency flooded her mind. "We can't leave him! He's part of this too!" the stranger insisted, pulling her toward the exit. "You don't know what he's capable of." "No, I won't leave him!" Panic clawed at her, her chest tightening. But the air shifted once more, an unseen force taking hold. The ground rumbled again, and all at once, a blast of light erupted, tearing through the chaos. Elena shielded her eyes, momentarily blinded, and when she opened them, time slowed. A figure stood at the entrance, cloaked in shadows, but as the light illuminated their face, she was struck by a sharp jolt of recognition. It wasn't just anyone. It was a part of her past she thought she would never see again. "Mom?" Elena gasped, disbelief flooding her senses. Her mother stood there, her expression inscrutable, drenched in the surreal glow of the chaos. "Elena, it's time you learned the truth." "Truth? What truth?" The panic in her voice echoed as the masked figures flickered in the background, uncertainty marking their movements. "You've kept everything hidden. Why now?" I had to protect you, her mother shouted back. But it's too late for that now. And then the biggest shock whirled into view, spinning through the thick air of secrets. Her mother wasn't just there to help. She stepped forward, a weapon appearing in her hand, aimed squarely at her father. I can't let you take any of them. Whatever you think this family is, it's all been lies. Elena's heart dropped. Mom, no, what are you doing? Her mother's eyes hardened, filled with a resolve Elena had never seen before. You need to know, Elena, we aren't who you think. I've been trying to protect you from the monster he's become. A tense silence enveloped them. Fear crashed against Elena's heart like angry waves. She stood there, caught between two worlds, each wanting to pull her into chaos. But as the dust began to settle, it came crashing in waves. The reality of their lives, the lies, the twisted tapestry they'd woven together. Put it down, Mary, her father growled, still maintaining that calm facade. You don't know what you're doing. Elena's breath hitched as realization began to sink in like a stone. Her family was unraveling before her, truth swirling thick like smoke. She had thought she was the one caught in a storm, but now she felt like a match glued to gasoline. Would she step forward to protect her mother or defend the father she thought she knew? Before she could choose, another voice rang out, the leader of the intruders. Enough of this family drama! If you don't make a choice, we will make it for you. A gunshot cracked through the air, and everything exploded in a tumult of movement. And just like that, everything she thought she knew shattered into pieces. In the eye of that storm, it felt like all she could do was watch and hope to survive the fallout. Elena's breath caught in her throat. A deafening silence hung between them. Her mother, gun steady in hand, faced her father with a fury that felt electric. The tension crackled around them, thick like smoke. Her heart raced, understanding slipping through her fingers like sand. Enough of this family drama! The leader shouted, his voice rigid and furious. If you don't make a choice, we will make it for you. In that moment, a gunshot exploded through the air. Time slowed as her father's face twisted in shock. The world seemed to hold its breath. Elena blinked. The sound replaced her heartbeat, a deafening thud echoing in her ears. She felt frozen, caught in a storm of betrayal, fear pulsing through her limbs. And then a scream shattered the air. It wasn't Thomas. No, it was Brianna. She collapsed to the ground, clutching her side, blood pooling beneath her. Elena, help! She gasped, eyes wide and terrified. Everything spiraled. Her focus shifted, the horror of her friend's plight eclipsing the standoffs unfolding around her. The room spun as she staggered toward Brianna, instincts driving her forward. She knelt by her friend, desperation clawing at her chest. What happened? Brianna struggled to speak, throat tight. They shot me. Tears spilled down her cheeks, mingling with blood, creating a dreadful mix of pain and confusion. Something shifted inside Elena. Loyalty warred with betrayal. Her heart thudded against her ribs. Brianna, you'll be okay, she urged, pressing her hands against the wound, panic surging through her veins. And then her mother shouted, Get away from her! Elena's head whipped around, confusion morphing into anger. No, she's hurt! The leader laughed, a sound laced with malice. You think this changes anything? You're just a pawn in a game you don't understand. But Brianna's face twisted in pain, gripping Elena's wrist tightly, eyes pleading. The truth. It's not what you think. In that moment, everything warped, pulling at the threads of her life. Was she truly just a pawn? Did her family's empire rest on a foundation of lies? Secrets and blood. She felt the walls closing in again, breath quickening as more chaos erupted around them. Then the room shook harder, and suddenly sirens blared like angry banshees outside. A roar echoed through the space, a cacophony threatening to drown them all. Elena's heart raced. "We need to go!" she yelled. But just as she began to pull Brianna back, a new figure burst through the door, a tall man clad in black, storming in like a whirlwind. "Everyone down!" Before Elena could react, he fired off a warning shot toward the intruders. The air thickened, charged with ozone, as the room shifted. Between the sudden gunfire and cries for safety, chaos erupted anew. But it wasn't just the intruders who were flustered. Elena felt a strange surge of courage deep within her. She turned, locking eyes with her father, who had dropped his mask of control. His eyes held something dark, something she had never seen before. And just as everything felt like it was tilting toward destruction, a blinding flash illuminated the chaos. The sudden brightness split the room like lightning, revealing truths hidden in shadows. "Time's up," the newcomer shouted, his voice rising above the din. "The truth is about to unravel. Trust no one." With that, the light flickered again, and from behind the tall man, another figure stepped through. Another familiar face. It was her brother. The brother she thought had vanished years ago. "Elena!" he yelled, desperation etched on his face. He replied, voice raw with urgency. Brianna gasped. "Jason? But how?" In that heartbeat, the tension fractured, an explosion of revelation swirling in the air. Her father's expression shifted, dark and furious. "You shouldn't be here." Elena felt the unraveling of everything she knew. Pieces of her life slid out of place, shifting dangerously. Uncertainty wrapped around her like a thick fog. "Get down!" Jason shouted again, pulling Brianna to safety, but Elena felt rooted in place. Suspended between two worlds. As the tension reached its peak, her mother's face changed, a myriad of emotions crashing like waves. She lowered her gun, voice trembling. "Elena, I have to tell you the truth." But before she could finish, a loud explosion echoed, blinding them all, sending Elena reeling. The walls shook violently as everything erupted into chaos once more. And just like that, everything changed. What had once been a fractured family now felt like a web of danger and deception. Trust hung by a thread, but as the smoke filled the room, one thing was clear: no one would emerge the same. Elena's heart raced. What lay ahead? And as she stepped back, uncertainty gripping her throat, she had no idea what truth was about to come to light, or how it would alter her reality forever. Elena's heart pounded like a wild drum in her chest. The air was thick with fear, confusion, and betrayal. Brianna lay on the floor, blood soaking her shirt, and the chaos around her felt like an unending nightmare. She looked back at her mother, whose face was twisted in a mix of anger and regret. Jason's eyes, wide and terrified, searched for her as the masked leader shifted, his gun still aimed, tension electric between the two sides. "Mom, we have to help Brianna, now!" Elena cried, fear slicing through her voice. Her mother hesitated, the gun still poised, the weight of the moment pressing down on them all. Jason stepped forward, urgency in his voice. "We can't stay. We need to get everyone out. The building is coming down." But instead of moving, time stretched out in a horrifying tableau. Elena felt rooted in place, the screams of chaos fading into a dull roar in her ears. Everything felt surreal, like a jigsaw puzzle. Pieces were being switched around as her heart raced. And then, the unexpected happened. A soft whirring sound filled the air, quiet at first, but then growing louder. All heads turned toward the ceiling. Is that? Elena started, eyes wide. Before she could finish, the lights flickered and then dropped into darkness. All around, the sound of machinery whirred to life, a deep, vibrating hum reverberating through the familiar walls. Panic roared back, drowning her in fear. And then, boom, a trapdoor exploded open in the ceiling, and from it, a figure dropped down like a shadow, landing in the center of the chaos with an audible thud. This time, everyone froze. It was a woman, clad in black combat gear, her eyes scanning the room with a calculated intensity. The air around her pulsed with authority. She raised her hand, gesturing for silence. Enough. I'm here for the girl. Elena's heart stopped. What? Who are you? But the woman's eyes locked onto Brianna. Get her out of here. Now. What do you mean, get her out? Elena shouted, confusion lacing her voice. She's hurt. The woman's expression hardened. I'll explain later. We don't have time. Before anyone could react, the masked leader unleashed a flurry of bullets toward the newcomer. But she was faster. In an instant, she was gone, a blur of motion as if she'd vanished. The bullets crashed into the wall, splintering wood and sending debris into the air. Get down! Jason yelled, grabbing Elena and pulling her behind a nearby table. Move! But as they ducked, everything erupted again. The newcomer reappeared beside Brianna. And with a swift motion, she pulled the injured girl into her arms. I've got her! Elena's heart raced as she watched, the world spinning wildly as more gunfire rang out. The tension was palpable, the urgency drawing tight like a bowstring. She felt her breath hitch, knowing they were running out of time. But then, something unexpected happened. The woman slammed her palm against the floor, and a blinding light burst forth from her hand, washing over everyone like daylight. It felt warm and embracing, a stark contrast to the darkness creeping closer. What are you doing? Her mother shouted, barely able to stand steady. Covering the retreat, the woman shouted back, urgency driving her words as the light pulsated, casting shadows that danced around them. A second later, the darkness shifted again. The shadows grew restless, inching closer to the group as if they had a life of their own. A chilling laughter echoed from the masked leader, his face twisted in anger. You think you can save her? You have no idea what you're doing. In that moment, the whole room felt like it was breathing. And then, Elena realized the newcomer didn't just come to save them. She came with a deeper purpose. I know exactly what I'm doing, the woman said, eyes blazing with determination. And it's time for the truth to come to light. But as the dust began to settle, another shocking twist rippled through the group. Brianna's eyes widened in fear as she muttered, You're the one they warned us about. Elena's heart dropped. What do you mean? Who warned you? Brianna's face turned pale, utter terror engulfing her. They said you would come after her. Elena's mind raced. Who are you talking about? Who is they? But just then, the ceiling above them began to crack open. Brick and mortar crumbled, dust filling the air like a storm. In that instant, shock washed over them, more powerful than the explosions echoing around them. The woman's expression turned grave. We need to go now, even if you don't understand. The time for choices is over. As the building shifted and groaned, the urgency was palpable. And with that, the truth of their reality hung heavy in the air, tangled in the chaos of their shattered lives. But before anyone could respond, the walls began to stutter and shake. The lights flickered out, plunging them into darkness, and all Elena could think was, would they survive the truth, or would it claim them all?